This program is designed to provide general information with regards to the subject matters covered. This information is given with the understanding that neither the hosts, guests, sponsors, or station are engaged in rendering any specific and personal, medical, financial, legal, counseling, professional service, or any advice. You should seek the services of competent professionals before applying or trying any suggested ideas.
Hello, my beautiful friends and viewers of Anahita TV. Thank you so much for joining me for our third episode of Anahita TV. This is my good friend Ellie Shoja. She's a book coach, and I'll give you a little background about her. She has a very interesting background, and I'm going to ask her questions about it. So you want to tune in and find out more. She grew up with a very interesting father who was an international
con man.
So this is gonna get exciting. And she's also an amazing book coach. She has helped many people write and produce their films, including David Zucker, the famous David Zucker and Jerry Zucker, who wrote the airplane movies and all the
Naked Gun
film, yeah. Just like comedy. Yeah. So you want to
comedies.
So she is very talented. I actually recently hired her to help me finish and complete my books. I've written several books, but I have such a hard time. Okay, what am I going to choose for the cover? Who's going to publish? I don't want to deal with all that. I just want to write. So this is the show for you. If you have a book sitting in your mind or in your computer for the past 10, 15, 20, you had someone who 40 years.
Yeah.
And completed their book.
All over the map. David, actually, for over a decade, he was trying to write this book. I have a client now who's been trying to write a book for 24 years. Another client just finished her book after 40 years. It's amazing.
Yeah. So you want to stay for this. Please like and subscribe, comment. And also, if you are here with us live, we are taking questions. So if you have questions, Ellie would be happy to answer them for you. Yes. So without further ado, give us a little background about yourself, like a 2-minute, 1 minute, whatever you feel comfortable, how you came about being a book coach.
So I have basically written my whole life. I grew up moving around a lot because my dad was a con man. We were always on the run. I lived in Germany, Iran, and Turkey, moved to America when I was 15. From the age of 9 to 12, I moved over 25 times. As you can imagine, it was a lot of turmoil, chaos, trauma. And the thing that kept me going through everything was writing, was storytelling. Now, it took me until my divorce in my early 30s to realize I could write for a living. Until then, I felt like why would somebody pay me to do something that everybody loves to do, right? Writing was such an easy and intuitive thing for me. And I was an immigrant and I was lower class. So when you grow up immigrant,
you're always higher class.
I mean, financially,
right.
We didn't have much at all.
Yeah.
And when you grow up in that way, there's something really interesting that happens in immigrant families, which is the thing that you are good at is looked at as a hobby. So get a job and then do the thing that you're good at.
Become a doctor, attorney,
exactly.
And then you can write for fun.
Yeah, exactly.
That's my story. We share that.
Not true in affluent families.
True.
Right? In affluent families, you're good at something, you show some talent on any level, your parents think, oh, let's pair her up with so-and-so who's doing that professionally. Let's get her a mentor. Let's get her classes around that. Maybe this will turn into a career. So very different mindsets around talent, depending on your socioeconomic class, right?
I like how you look at it. You're so correct on that.
Yeah.
I think in the arts, if you have talent and you're from a lower socioeconomic, they looked at the creative world as if it's a hobby or something you do if you have a lot of money in the bank already and you made it some other way, not through creative arts. So
Absolutely.
yeah.
Absolutely. So it took me, after my divorce, I was like, you know what? I'm I'm going to do this thing that I have always wanted to do. I've always had it on the side, and to my surprise, not everybody likes writing.
Yeah.
And to my surprise, I was able to get writing jobs very quickly, very easily, and make a living at it fairly easily. And I became a copywriter. I started editing books for people. I worked at a publishing house as an editor. I speak multiple languages, so I was also a translator. And during the pandemic, I became a ghostwriter. I started ghostwriting for people who are far more famous than me, have much bigger followings, and that kind of led into the book coaching that I started doing, because people were coming to me and asking me, how do I write a book? And I started coaching people, and I realized I really love doing this, and I'm really good at this, because what I didn't know is that I had developed a methodology, a process that could be just repeated. And I just started using the processes that I had used for myself, for my own books and my clients' books, with people, and everyone just started, their books started coming to life after decades of trying. And so that's kind of like how I became a book coach. And most recently, I launched my group program, because what I realized is that I was repeating the same stuff with every client. So with every client, I was teaching the same things over and over. And I thought, you know what? There has to be an easier way to get this information to more people, right? Because it's kind of mind blowing when you receive it. And so now in the group program, I can put all of the information in self-guided courses, and then show up on the group calls to answer questions. So it's a much more efficient way for me to serve more people who have stories to tell.
Wow. That's
Yeah.
That's amazing. I can't believe you helped all these amazing people who have had books. How amazing to be able to bring it out after 10 years, 20 years. And recently we were actually, right before we went on, we were listening to a message from the person who wrote her book after 40 years, and she was complete and she didn't know what to do with herself. So she left you a message.
Really
and we
amazing.
were listening to that.
Really
That was
amazing. Yeah.
so amazing. So let's start from some of your background with the con man stuff. I think that's really cool. It has nothing to do with books, but I think it does. Like stories.
Kind of, right?
It's your story, and I think it's fascinating. And how did you know or find out, like at age 9, that your dad was a con man, and like how did you navigate through that?
So my story is really interesting. Actually, there's a twist in the story that you're about to find out.
Okay, good.
So my dad was an international con man.
Okay.
And so he conned people. We changed our identities. We moved around, incessantly. He was captured at one point in Germany because the Turkish government had tracked him down, and he was in jail for 13 months and successfully proved that he wasn't himself, and was let out of jail and paid money for every day he spent in jail for wrongful imprisonment, because he proved that he's not himself. It was very fascinating.
So he proved he wasn't the person they caught. Like he wasn't the con person.
Yeah. Because
my God.
Because we had run away. He was amazing, right?
Wow.
And
really, there's a movie there. You and I are going to write the movie with David Zucker.
I actually have a script. I have a 1-hour drama called Con Life. It's gotten me a lot of writing jobs.
Okay, good. I love that. I want to read it.
But it hasn't been produced. About a con family.
Right.
It's an international story. Now, during the year he was in jail, my mom worked up the courage to divorce my father, because on top of being a con man, he was not an easy person to live with. He was very paranoid. He was very abusive. So my childhood was me being on edge. I actually had nervous tics. I still have some of them, you might notice, but I had anger issues. I was suicidal by the time I was 12. So
Yeah.
it was a pretty tough childhood.
Right.
And during the time he was in jail, I was like 10, 11. My mom worked up the courage to get a divorce from him. And he came out of jail. He wasn't living with us. He tried to come in and out a little bit, and it would always blow up and turn into just this very intense traumatic, event. And then he would leave again. And so at some point, we ran away. My mom took me and my sister, and we literally left the place where we were living and stayed with her coworkers for 2 weeks, and then left the country. At that time we were in Germany, and left the country and went back to Iran. And that was the last time I had seen my dad.
Wow.
Until 29 years after that event, he added me on Facebook.
Wow.
And he adds me on Facebook. This is during the pandemic. And I'm 40 years old at this point. And for 6 months, I'm like, do I want to add him? Do I not want to add him? I don't know.
Wow.
So I ended up adding him on my Facebook. Then for a year, he would interact with my content. He would like every single thing I post.
Oh.
And I would not interact with him at all. I'm like, if he has balls, he'll actually have a conversation with me. And
Sure.
and I was just like very, very kind of, no, I'm not making it easy.
You were
for
hesitant,
him, right?
Yeah.
I'm like, if you want to talk to me, you have a conversation. Was he still up to his old cons? So you're gonna like where this story goes.
So we're getting some questions.
I don't know what he was doing. He wasn't up to his cons. Was he still up to? Did he write?
Did you
write the story? Yes.
Yeah.
Okay. So at this point, what's that one? Do you think anyone has a book in them? Oh yeah, we're gonna answer that question in just a moment. I'm gonna give you the punchline of my dad's story, and then we'll dive into some writing questions. About 6 months ago, I started dating someone, and he is a healer.
Oh.
And he says to me, you need to fix your stuff with your dad.
Oh.
And I'm like, I don't have stuff with my dad. I'm done with that stuff. I've done all this healing within myself. He's like, nope.
I do healing work, so I feel it. I felt with similar things with a friend of mine who's a master healer.
Yeah.
And she had dad issues. So listen to him, because it's not from him. It's from
it's
spirit.
Definitely.
It's spirit. And it came to me that she needed to deal with her dad just to finish it off. She didn't want anything to do with it.
Yeah.
And so
that's where I was.
Yeah. So I get it.
So he coached me through actually reaching out to my dad. And so I started having conversations with him. And for several months, we were talking every day and reconnecting, and so much deep healing I didn't even realize I still needed to do starts to come out. And I get to a place where I have released, and I have love and compassion, and we're now making plans. He's in Iran, and we're now making plans for us to meet in Sweden, where his siblings are. And and his health wasn't great, so he was recovering, so we could do. And cut to at the beginning of this month, I hadn't heard from him for several days. I sent him a message. And I said, hi, I hope you're doing okay. I love you.
Wow.
And he wrote back that he loves me and I'm always in his heart.
Oh.
And it turns out that was the last message that we would exchange. Because on Friday, he passed away.
Oh, so sorry.
And I got a message that he passed away. And had it not been for reconnecting with him, I don't know how I would have processed a lot of that stuff.
Yeah. The timing was
And-
right.
and
I'm
by the
sorry,
way-
I'm sad of your friend telling you that timing
Yeah.
was just the perfect
Oh my
timing.
gosh, it
So that's
was
why
it
it's
was incredible.
spiritual.
Yeah.
Message
Yeah.
came from spirit.
By the way, I have not announced his death. This is the first time I'm
Wow.
announcing.
Okay,
it.
I didn't know.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
wow.
Yeah.
Sorry for your loss. I know.
Thank
I
you.
mean, you had some issues with him, but I mean,
It-
at
it
the end
was
of the
a-
day,
it was
it's
a-
your father.
yeah.
You know,
It
at
was
the
a
end of the
very
day.
interesting weekend. I'm very private, so I haven't shared it. There's maybe
wow.
a couple people who know, but and the reason is because I was processing so much emotion, that I was going through, and I cannot tell you how grateful I am for having reconnected. So it's
Yeah.
it's like it also, I think, speaks to the power of storytelling a lot of times, right?
Right.
In a very deep way, because for a long time, my story around my dad was one that made me suffer very deeply. And in the last 6 months, my story around my dad had an opportunity to shift, to change.
Yeah.
Right. And forgiveness,
Yeah.
compassion,
Yeah.
love
Yeah.
was able to be introduced into that story. And does everybody have a book in them? Absolutely, because we all have stories in us, and we connect to ourselves and to the world around us through our stories. Our stories literally allow us to understand ourselves and others on a deeper level.
That's amazing. That touched me because right now I'm actually reading a book called Core Energetics. And the idea of this book, it was written 1988 was the first time they did it. This actual psychologist that did testing. And what they do is take 3 parts of us into the physical, psychological, and spiritual.
Okay.
And they actually test that in a lab, like the spiritual level. And so it's an amazing book. And they say we have 3 layers ourselves. And the first layer, the connection to God or spirit world, that we are born like a child, is pure love and pure compassion. So your dad was pure love and compassion. And based on his upbringing, then the trauma that we live creates the trauma is, and then the dualistic, the dual level is the level 2 of us. And then the third level is what we show to the society, to how we react in certain situations. Sometimes when we don't know why we reacted a certain way, it's the combination of our trauma and upbringing with the love and compassion part of us. And it translates into our behavior or how we react to certain situations. So at the end of the day, like the book basically says, you have to, like, even unfortunately abusers or people, they came from of course you should never stay in a relationship that's abusive, but at the same time, there is some sort of compassion for people who are abusers because they were abused, and that's their, so thank you so much for sharing that. I'm sure that was very difficult. So thank you.
I mean, it's totally, it's not difficult.
Oh,
it's
okay.
good. I'm as private as I am, I'm quite open when I'm sharing, right? And the thing is, I had a thought as you were talking.
Oh, okay. What's your thought?
I don't remember what it was. It's just like when
we talked about the 3 layers of humanity.
Oh, this is what I was gonna say. Unconditional love is not unconditional permission. Right? So
like
so you loving someone unconditionally doesn't mean you have to be in a harmful situation.
You don't have to put yourself
right
in that
so
situation
it's not
to be
unconditional
hard.
permission.
Right? I like that.
But
I like that.
A big part of my healing has been also realizing that the people who are here as the biggest lessons, right? Our biggest lessons in forgiveness, the people who require the deepest levels of forgiveness from us, right? Those are the souls who are on an energetic level and a soul level closest to us, because they volunteer to come into these very difficult relationships with us, right? And that's like my dad's soul and my soul are very closely connected. And for both of us, our relationship, even though we've been absent from each other's lives for over 30 years, 33 years was the last time I saw my dad, right?
Wow.
Even though we've been absent, that connection never was severed. And it is because we came with a contract that we would help each other evolve on a soul level.
Definitely.
And I have felt that evolution within myself, and I have immense gratitude for him for volunteering to be that person in my life.
Oh, wow. Thank you for sharing that story. That's so touching. And that's what storytelling is all about. So she just demonstrated a beautiful conclusion to a beginning, middle, and end. That was how her story was. And that's how she teaches you with your book writing. There's a second question from Misty. Can anyone write about anything? I have an answer to that, but I'm going to let you answer first.
So that question to me is a little bit vague, Misty. If you can clarify what you mean, can anyone write about anything? Do you mean
on any subject? I'm thinking
on any subject. You can write on any subject. You can. Well, yeah. What's stopping you, right? What is stopping you from actually writing on any subject that you want to write about? So give me the specific application that you're touching on, because I feel like that is on the surface level of something a little deeper.
Yeah. I have an answer to the general question that she has.
Yeah.
My answer is this, like I studied writing at Pepperdine.
Yeah.
So when most of our professors always talked about write what you know.
Yeah.
So the answer to that from the point of view or the teachers I learned with would be maybe not. I think you can if you do enough research and you're excited, because what's his name? Tom Ferry? No, not Tom Ferry. I'm forgetting the guy who wrote the 4-hour work week and 4-hour exercise. Tim Ferriss. Thank you. So I believe I heard one of his interviews that he really didn't know much about writing or didn't know much about those subjects. He researches and writes. So to that, I would say yes. But on another level, when you're telling a story, what I was taught is write what you know. His books are technical. So I believe maybe with technical books, you can write any subject with research. But if you're telling a story, if you're writing a film or writing memoirs, or relating, you want to relate to others, it's best to tell a story or write about something that's from the heart and that you've lived through. So I would say for nonfiction, yes, but for nonfiction is
if we had bloopers,
I'm thinking about it too much. Anyway, so I'm gonna let you answer.
So Misty clarified her question. She says, "Do you feel anyone can write in any genre?"
Okay.
And again, I would say yes, you can write anything that you want.
What about comedy?
Anyone can write any genre that they want. But now here's the thing: what you feel inspired to write, what interests you, what allows you to spend hours and hours and hours in front of your computer or with your notebook is the thing that is going to be your vehicle, right? I could write comedy. It's not going to be the best comedy because I'm not like that. Making people laugh is not the thing that I am most passionate about, right? What I'm most passionate about is helping people recognize the power within themselves on a non-physical level to connect with their own human and spiritual potential so that they can, in this physical reality, create the world that they want to live in, right? That at the core of it is what I'm passionate about. So now when I write books, I write science fiction genre. Guess what? spiritual book disguised as a world-ending aliens here on planet Earth, and 26-year-old hero that you want to punch in the face every other hour, every other minute. Is he going to save the world? Is he not? But you know what? When you read it, it's kind of a spiritual book.
Oh,
It's
that's
about
your book?
it's my book.
Nice.
It's about
what is it called?
the 13th planet,
I love it.
awakening of the planet, right? I write a journal, completely different genre, right? Called Channeled Writing Journal. About connecting to that inner voice. I have a deck of oracle cards called Your Heart Knows the Way. So 3 very different genres, but guess what? All of them kind of communicate what I am really passionate about. Now, when I work with clients, a lot of times, like this book is about the writing of comedy, right? This movie, the making of this movie, I was involved with it. So you're going to be inspired when you read it.
Because Airplanes by David Zucker.
Yeah,
read the names, Jim.
Surely You Can't Be Serious, The True Story of Airplane, right? So you can pick this book up at theairplanebook.com, and the cards are available on Amazon. Actually, all my books are available on Amazon. You can just search Ellie Shoja, and then it'll give you all of my books under my name. So whatever I get involved in tends to have an element of inspiration and sometimes mysticism, but it has an element of pursuing your potential in it, because that's what I'm passionate about. Right?
I love it. Thank you. So
this guy is passionate about making people laugh.
Yes.
That's why when you read this book,
it's funny.
It's funny from page 1, right?
That's amazing.
And you talk to him when he was in elementary school. He said, all I wanted to do was make people laugh.
That's amazing. That's how he got into comedy. Exactly. It's one of the best films, that's ever been in Hollywood, made in Hollywood. I love Airplanes. Yeah.
I love that movie too.
All of it.
I don't know, Misty, did that answer your question?
I want to move on to school. So you recently created school, and that's what I joined. I'm so excited.
Yes.
Yeah. And it's full of all your knowledge. Honestly, I had a half hour. We were supposed to have a half hour Zoom call. It ended up being an hour. And I was so taken aback by all your freaking knowledge. You're like, oh my God. Honestly, I was like, jaw drop, her knowledge is extensive when it comes to writing a book, publishing, book covers, because it's not just, this book isn't just the writing on the paper. It's the hardback. Like, you have to make a decision. Yeah. It's the design on here, the design on the back, the design even on here. And look, like, this was designed.
Yeah.
This first few pages. Everything, all of the, there's so much, layout, so much that goes into a book. And she is honestly the most expert person I've met. And I'm not just blowing smoke up your, what. I really mean it. I don't, talk like this about everybody.
Thank you.
And so now you have school with spelled SKOOL.
Yeah. So I
tell us about that. So your program.
I created a community on school because, as I said, I love working one-on-one, but then I'm only working with a few people at a time. And I wanted to create an opportunity to be able to serve more people, because stories, I believe, are important. We have to tell our stories, and books are the best way to share our stories and share our ideas. I'm extremely passionate about this. So my solution was, when I found school and I saw how communities work on there, I'm like, oh my God, I've been wanting to do online courses for a long time. I like the platforms and stuff didn't resonate with me, but the community aspect of school really resonated with me, because now I can be involved. I can understand what it is you need, and just mold the content that I'm creating to your specific needs. So then I created a community called International Authors Academy.
Mm.
So you can actually go to internationalauthorsacademy.com and you can learn a little bit more about it. And it's basically this place where I was telling you, right before we hopped
Yeah.
on, there's so much content, there's so much information that I have that I want to bring out,
Right.
Share, how do you write, publish, market the book? All of that is kind of like the baseline, but how do you make an Oracle deck, right? So how do you go launch a Kickstarter around your stuff, around your project? How do you get PR, your social media, how to do all of that stuff? There's so much content, there's so much information that I want to share, that I want to turn International Authors Academy into the most robust, bustling, amazing place for someone who wants to write a book to join and get all of the resources and all the information and just inspiration, and so that they can just do it.
Perfect.
Right?
Yeah.
They can just do it.
I love it.
Yeah.
We're getting a few questions.
Yes.
We're going to answer them at the end, like the last 10 minutes, because I want to showcase
Sure.
what you're doing. So we're not ignoring you. We see the questions and we're going to answer them at the last 10 minutes.
Yeah.
So I want to talk about some of the programs you have, because when you sign up to school right now, you are doing Tuesdays. Where you get on Tuesday mornings, 11 a.m. You get on with your clients at 11, I think, to 12 for an hour. And we talk about everybody shares their question and we kind of talk about that. But tell me about your curriculum that you have. She's got a lot of curriculum from like beginning to end.
Yeah.
So tell us some of those things. I want to talk about how you started it and what are some of the best ways for someone who, like, let's say they just signed up today for school. What is the best way to start?
Yeah. So this actually answers Mickey's question. Do you take people from start to finish developing, writing, and publishing the book? Yes, absolutely. You go to internationalauthorsacademy.com. That'll take you right into that. And basically what I wanted to create is a place where you can come in at any stage. A lot of my clients, they've been trying to write a book for over a decade. Some are like you. They have a manuscript and they're like, I don't know what to do. Some are, I've written 10 starts of different manuscripts and I don't know what to do. I don't know how to actually complete it, right?
Yeah.
And so at any stage, I provide support. What you were referring to is that every week we have a weekly call. We hop on. And during that weekly call, I answer specific questions. So whatever's coming
about your journey, your book
exactly.
writing journey.
Because everyone's at different stages. And the thing is, right now, the community is quite small. So everybody gets a lot of hands-on support, right? As it grows, I'll probably bring in more book coaches as well, because I want everyone to always have a lot of support. The thing that allows you to write your book and publish it and put it out into the world is clarity and momentum. And what the Academy does is it creates clarity and it creates momentum every step of the way, no matter where you are. Now, in addition to the weekly calls with me, I'm also bringing experts every month. This month, I haven't announced this yet in the community, but this month I'm going to have a PR person come and talk to us about formulating your story for PR and how to potentially pitch your book to PR, to media, so that you can get some media coverage around your book. So those experts that I bring in, they'll be somehow book related. Agents, managers, book publishers. I'm going to bring in a publisher at probably in the next month or two to talk about, if you're reaching out to publishers, how to do it and how not to do it.
Okay.
Right? Because when we get into the publishing phase, you have an opportunity you can publish it yourself, self-publish it. And
she teaches that on her class.
I teach you exactly how to do that.
Yeah.
And, or if you want to take your chances and find an agent or a publisher or a small press, we can talk about how to do that as well, right? So there's a lot that goes into book writing, publishing, marketing, and then beyond that, a path to speaking. Right? It's like, so now I have my book and I want to do a TED Talk around it.
Yeah.
Right? So I have training around that. Because I'm a motivational speaker.
You do TED Talks and you train people whoever's listening, she actually trains you on your TED Talk where you begin from the beginning till end. She looks at what you want to talk about. And tell us that story about the person that, you looked at their process and you gave them 3 advice and then they completed their book.
Yeah. So I
grabbed the books. Was it this?
Yeah, it's this one. So I'm a speaker. I have 2 TEDx's out, and I'm a motivational speaker. And during the pandemic, I was doing coaching on speeches, on keynote talks. And I had I met with a client who we had a few sessions. She had a hard time condensing her keynote into a shorter one. She had an hour-long keynote and she's like, I don't know how to make it shorter into like a 20-minute or a 5-minute, depending on what they're hiring me for. And so when I looked at the keynote, I realized she's over-explaining things because she didn't have her methodology defined in a clear way. And I gave her the note to really define her methodology into like a 3-step process, and so based on what I had read, I'm like, I feel like your 3-step process is this. And so we had this conversation and she went off and she kind of like took off with that note. She created her 3-step process. It wasn't what I had, identified, but it became so concise. And so it was like, boom, she ran off with that note.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden I saw her website changing, the messaging around her methodology changing. And it just became like, she became a force of nature, right? Because there was now so much clarity. And then cut to a year and a half, 2 years later, and I see her book is out.
Yeah, that's amazing.
And then she just sent me her book.
That's so wonderful.
And
so just one session, or how many sessions?
It was a couple of sessions.
And here you are.
And she's a massive action taker. And she just took that information and ran with it. And when I saw her book, I messaged her. I'm like, oh my God, this is so exciting. Your book is out. And she sent me the most amazing voice memo saying, after our sessions, for a long time, I was stalled. And then after we spoke, I was able to sit down and actually write the book. And she did an inscription for me, which is so cool. It's like, your inspiration made this book possible. Like a couple of sessions, you guys, just a little bit
and
of
she
information.
Completed her book.
Just a little bit of information, a little bit of inspiration.
I'm telling you guys,
it's amazing.
I had the same feeling when I had that, the Zoom call that was half an hour turned into an hour with you. I'm like, this is a lot. Like I got to join the class. I mean, I can't do it all by myself. So I highly recommend her. If you have a book in you, you're definitely going to get it out there with Ellie's help.
Yeah.
So we're maybe 10 minutes. This is the last 10 minutes. So let's start answering some of the questions
you have. So my cards are called Your Heart Knows the Way. This is what they look like. So you can search Your Heart Knows the Way Oracle. Now, this is an interesting deck. Just a little information for you. It's inspired by the Rumi quote that says, your task is not to seek for love, but to seek and remove the barriers against it.
I love that.
There's 52 cards. It has a gold on the sides, gold on the back. And I want to show you the artwork. Just look at,
wow.
These paintings are done by Crystal Lorco, who's a Los Angeles-based artist. Now, it's a heart-opening deck.
Wow.
And it's a very blunt deck.
Hmm.
And this
Got
deck
the little book that
that
explains each card.
Yeah, so this deck, like, look at this. It's forgive the unforgivable, right? These
And
cards.
this one, care for yourself. I
Care
love
for
that.
yourself.
Yeah.
We share one heart. So every card is there to show you a barrier, something we're doing that's blocking the heart space. And then the messaging helps you remove that barrier. And if you want, you can pick a card. I can read it for you. You can
Ooh,
see how
yes.
blunt it is.
Me gustan. I like.
Yeah. I always say pick at your own risk.
All right, I'm ready.
Go for it. Let's see.
Got it. Ooh.
You come from love, card number
I
51.
love that. You come from
Okay, so
love.
let's read this one. I don't think this is a super harsh one. Here
No,
we go.
this is a loving one. I like it.
All of them are loving.
Yeah.
Here it goes. You come from love and you return to love. And while you are here, you are a perfect expression of love. Does the meaning of life elude you? Do you wonder from whence you've come, why you are here, and where you are meant to be? You've lived your life on the edge of confusion, with one foot in questions and the other in fear. You've looked for your identity in the approval of others and in the stories where you were and what you've done. Stories of where you were and what you've done. The more you've tried to find yourself in the world, the more lost you've felt. The more you've tried to define who you are, the more invisible you've become. This card reminds you that you struggle to know your true self because you've made yourself small by hiding beneath false identities.
Wow.
By attaching yourself to fleeting ideas, you've built your house on a wave and then wondered why it's fallen apart. Today, strip yourself of all that you've placed after the words I am. Labels do nothing but limit the limitless you. Remove all labels, all explanations, all that you've used to define who you are. And as you do, experience the freedom of becoming the whole unlimited you.
Wow.
That was a
What
good card.
a powerful
That was a good
message.
card,
I needed
yeah.
that. Thank you so much. I love it. I'm definitely going to buy these cards. You guys,
Yeah,
they're gorgeous.
These
Look at
cards are
these.
amazing.
The
Yeah.
paintings and just
And then to answer your
high
question,
quality.
Mickey, you go to internationalauthorsacademy.com.
First, they have to become a school
Yeah.
member.
Well,
right? Or
they
no?
can join right there. Yeah.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah. So it'll ask you to, if you don't have a school account, it'll ask you to create a school account. And I would actually highly recommend downloading the school app so that you can get, you can be like connected on your phone and on the go. I love the school app. It gives you notifications when new things are posted. And I love school because it gamifies the whole thing, you know? So it's like the more active you are in the community, the more resources and tools and cool things open up to you. Like I created an extras thing, you know, that unlocks at level 3.
Sure.
And there's like a course on character driven story development in there. There's a course on channeled writing in there, you know, so there's just like fun little things, side courses in there.
Perfect.
Yeah.
And then tell them that, well, I signed up for 12 months. So she has a special. If you sign up for 12 months, it's half price. So I highly recommend. It's not going to take you 3 or 4 months if you're just beginning. It'll, you know, I would take advantage because the sale is not.
It's not permanent.
It's not permanent.
Yeah,
so I would
permanent.
get in. If you guys are watching in the beginning of, we're in September, you know, by December, I don't think the price will be the same.
Yeah.
So I would recommend get in.
It's
quickly.
our launch price.
Yes.
So
it's just launched it. You just launched it. So
it's $200 a month. If you sign up for the year, it's $9.99 for the year. So you pay for 5 months, you get 7 for free.
Wow.
Yeah, it's
just perfect.
It's
like, I was like
60% off, something like that. Yeah.
I did the whole year.
And I wanted to do that because I want you to commit to writing your book this year.
Yeah.
Right? Writing a book is a marathon. It's not a sprint. You know, it's not like writing a song. So so I want to make it so easy for someone who is ready to write their book to actually commit to it. And I'm committed to you. I show up fully, and I create basically content based on what it is that you need in the moment. Like you're doing your book cover design, and I'm going to create videos around how do you design your book cover, right?
She, honestly, in the beginning, because like you said, because there aren't that many students yet. So, she can gear her classes, and they're going to be on the site for good.
Literally,
so you can always
you.
go back to them if you need them. So I highly recommend that. And this goes to start to publish, correct?
Yeah, start to publish and beyond. Start, publish, and market, and then leverage to get speaking gigs. Leverage in your
friend
business.
for life.
Yeah,
your BFF.
Oh yeah, we're any aspect of the book writing, publishing, marketing, leveraging that you're looking for. That's the home. That's what the academy is going to be. And I'm, I have plans down the road for it. There's so much I want to do with it. I'm so excited. There's so many things that will roll out as it starts to take shape.
Let's answer one. We have one time for one more question, because we have only 3 minutes left. Thank you so much. We have so many questions right here. We can't answer all of them, but we're going to answer this last one. Should everyone share their stories?
Yeah. So, Mickey, what is this one? Okay. Mickey, everybody's story, the way we create the world around us is through the sharing of ideas, right? Everything that you see in the world is an idea that was once shared. Every single thing, that painting behind me, the table we're sitting on, this laptop, everything physical. So ideas expand as we share them. When I share an idea with you, it expands inside your mind, and then it also expands inside my mind.
Yeah.
The
receiver's interpretation is completely different.
Totally.
Yeah.
And then the idea becomes more.
Mm-hmm.
Now, a story is the best way to share an idea, because it allows the idea to be received and understood. And a book, in my opinion, is the best way to share stories, because it stays. What we know from civilizations thousands of years ago are the things that they wrote down.
So true.
Right? It's what they wrote down. So when we write something down, we create a time capsule that lives far, far beyond us. And that's really powerful. So to answer your question, short answer is absolutely. We have an obligation to tell our stories.
Yeah. And one of the things I love about, I've studied history too. I love about history is that, okay, so we were, the way that language came about was sitting around the fire. So the beginning humans, they sat around the fire. They were grilling their meats or vegetables or whatever and eating. And that's how language came about. It was people telling stories about their daytime, what happened during the day. Yeah. If they were hunting, if they were gathering. And that's how language was created, by telling stories around the campfire. So it is our innate duty to ourselves and our history and future generation to tell our stories, because every one of us is so unique. Yeah. And we all have such a unique background. Such a, the thumbprint is unique in every different human being, and our DNA is also unique to us. So there's no one else ever before, now, or in the future that's going to be like you. So if you have a story, I definitely would share it, and you don't have to judge it by how small or large it is. I studied screenwriting at Pepperdine, and one of the things that was so variety of things that we read together as students, someone would write a story about a small moment in time, or another one would write a historical drama about this certain period of time. They were both interesting, and they both had valid points. So nothing is too big or too small. So whatever comes to your mind, contact Ellie, have her put it in a nice package,
and get your story out.
Get it out. Yeah.
And then you into the world.
Yeah. We only have 1 minute left. Any last thoughts? So please follow, like, subscribe, make comments on the YouTube channel. From
Yeah.
time to time, we may be able to, you or I will come on and answer your questions if you
Yeah.
have. So this is an interactive. Please share
Totally.
also with your other friends who are writers. Anything you'd like to add?
Yeah, it's, follow your bliss. Yeah, follow your bliss, follow what you feel passionate towards, and tell your story, because the world needs you in it. You're in the world for a reason, and share it, share yourself.
Thank you
Come
so much.
out of hiding. Yeah.
Thank you so much for accepting this
pleasure.
invitation. I'm sure I'll have her on again because I can't get enough of your knowledge. And
Thank you
I
so much
appreciate
for having me. This was
thank you.
amazing.
Yes. So thank you and have a great day. And
Yeah.
hopefully all your books get published.
Yes.